Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to be looking at the top 10 best queues at Walt Disney World Resort here in Orlando. And we are going to start with an honorable mention. It is only an honorable mention because I myself have not experienced this queue, but from what I see from all the pictures and through word of mouth, I think it's going to enter into the top 10 pretty easily, and that is Rise of the Resistance. I've seen all those animatronics of the stormtroopers in the is it a battle cruiser? I'm not sure. I'm not really a Star Wars fan. Just the sheer number of the animatronics in that room is just mind-boggling, and I like the outside with all the ships flying around and stuff. I think it's really cool, and I love the boarding pass system that they got going on there. You don't have to be actually in the line waiting for probably 8 hours. If it was actually a wait, just a standby line, it would probably be a huge wait. So I'm really glad that they used the boarding pass system with this ride. Yeah, I definitely think this is going to enter my top 10 as soon as I go through it, but at the moment it's going to be the honorable mention. At number 10 is a ride I've been on, I love. It's going to be Dinosaur. I love this queue. It's kind of like a museum type deal. I really love it. And then whenever you go through the pre-show, I like the pre-show. I think it's kind of cheesy and cool. Whenever you go out that pre-show door, it has a very unique smell. Every time you smell it, you'll be like, oh, that's Dinosaur. I don't know what type of smell it is, but there's a smell to it, and the next time you guys go on it, you need to just take a deep sniff, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, I love this queue. I love all the fossils that they have, like actual fossils, and then I love the fake Carnotaurus skeleton in the center of the room. And I love Bill Nye. I used to love him in middle school whenever the teacher would be like, oh, we're going to watch Bill Nye today instead of taking a test or a quiz or something like that. So it was always a good day when Bill Nye, when you hear that theme song, Bill. Yeah, I love that. Love that show. Love the ride. Love the queue. I think it's really cool. Really like that museum aesthetic they go for. And usually this line doesn't get that long. But if you go outside, it's not really that great. But inside, I think it's a top 10 queue at Walt Disney World. Okay, and going to the Magic Kingdom at number 9, we have Space Mountain. Awesome ride, of course. Probably top 10 in my rides. Love this queue. I think it's awesome. I love how you can look to the right as you walk down and you just see those stars kind of mess with you a little bit, I don't even know what type of feeling it gives me, but just sheer happiness probably. I love the long hallways. It feels like you're kind of walking through a spaceship, if that makes sense. I think it's kind of cool. Kind of feels like a little Star Wars type of aesthetic that you go through that long hallway. It feels like you're on a battle cruiser. I think that's what it's called. Don't know. I love space. It's no surprise. Love all the projections that they got in the stars. And I used to love looking up at the end of the line and you see all the people, get in the car and stuff. I used to love looking up and seeing that meteor fly everywhere. And I think that was a really, really cool idea. I just love this attraction. Good temperature in there, so you're not outside and sweating. I mean, I wouldn't wait 2 hours in this queue, but I would, probably wait an hour for it. And I love this ride so much. Really great queue. All right, going into number 8, we are staying at the Magic Kingdom. And I think this just recently got updated. I don't remember this because I don't really go on it that much because the lines are just, absolutely crazy. But it's Peter Pan's Flight. I love that you get to go through the Darling household now, and there's a lot of interactive elements that happen. The Tinkerbell flies all around, and then you get the bells come up, and you get to ring them, and you get to pretend like you're at Expedition Everest. I don't know what why Disney loves bells so much, but, I like bells too, so kind of cute. Love the pixie dust flying around, Tinkerbell flying around, Peter Pan's shadow flying around. I think it's a really awesome queue, and I believe it's an awesome ride. So if you're able to wait, if you have to wait in line, if you've never done it before, I hope you would wait in line because it's an awesome attraction. You won't be banging your head against the wall in this queue, so that makes it top 10. It would be higher. I'm going to say this real quick. It would be higher if it did not. It's like really tight corners, so I don't really like tight corners. If it was a little bit wider, it would probably be a little bit higher in my top 10. But at the moment, it is number 8. So going into number 7, Dumbo. Another Magic Kingdom one. I like Dumbo. I like the ride, like the queue. The queue is really cool for little kids. This is what I'm really thinking about are the kids that get to play on the playground while they wait for Dumbo. I think that's an awesome idea. I think it burns a lot of energy for the little kiddos. It's a classic. I think it's really awesome. Love the idea of having the virtual queue while you wait for the attraction. You get to play on the playground. I think that's a really cool, revolutionary idea that needs to be replicated for most small children attractions to try and burn out some energy. Okay, going into number 6 is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. The attraction is a little bit overrated, I'm not going to lie to you, but it's a great attraction for your child's first roller coaster to try and warm them up to bigger and better attractions. That's why the wait is like crazy. But in the queue, I would probably wait 45 minutes. That's usually my bar for most rides, but the water effects, I like everything about the queue. You get to spin barrels. If you have a huge family, you could spin all 8 of the barrels, or all 7 of the barrels. I think 7. Yeah, 7 dwarves, 7 barrels. And then every time a barrel spins, you look up into the sky, and a dwarf starts dancing, doing its thing. And then if you get all of the barrels spinning, Snow White appears in the middle. And it's a really cool effect. I love doing this. And sometimes if you don't have that big of a party, you can try and get the strangers to, follow suit and spin the barrels. And then, you block up the rest of the line behind you. But who cares? You want to see Snow White dancing, so they can wait. But yeah, kind of like this attraction. Not the best for me, but one of the best queues. Number 6, definitely. And at number 5, we're going back to Hollywood Studios, and it is Toy Story Midway Mania. I love this attraction. I always have a really fun time, playing against my family and friends. I love the Mr. Potato Head animatronic. I just love the whole aesthetic that they got going on in that queue. All the toys reminds me of back in the day. I'm not that old, but I remember playing with those toys as a kid. Really enjoy looking at all the props that they got up and all the colors. It's really bright. All the kids seem to enjoy it. And they have Mr. Potato Head. Let me just say that again. I love Mr. Potato Head. I think he's ginormous. It's awesome to see him. But yeah, really cool queue. Really great attraction. If you can, I'm trying to think of how long I would wait for this attraction. Probably more than 45 minutes. Probably more. Probably an hour. I would probably wait for it. Love this ride. I think it's awesome. Really hurts your arm. Gives your arm a nice little workout. But really fun to play against your friends. Really enjoyable attraction. Really good for all ages. So, that's number 5. That breaks into the top 5 just barely. And staying in the park, Hollywood Studios at number 4, we have Tower of Terror. This is a top 5 attraction for lines, for actual rides. I absolutely love this attraction. I think the queue starts as soon as you make the turn down Sunset Boulevard and you see the huge tower in the distance, and you just walk down it, and it's just starting the theme at that moment as soon as you turn the corner. But yeah, you get into this line, and then it's just, you go through the gardens, and you just look up, and you're already getting kind of scared by the screams that emit from the tower. It's just a really imposing figure that you see, and you just kind of get intimidated by it immediately. That's a lot of M's, my bad. You get out of the gardens, and then you pass the fountain that does not have water, and then you enter the lobby, and the lobby is just extremely amazing theming. I mean, it's one of the best themed places on Disney World property. You see all the dust around the building, and you see all the cobwebs. Absolutely no one's in there. No one's populating the lobby at all. It's just you guys waiting in line. That's the population of that hotel. And then y'all go through, and you enter a room, pre-show, really cool pre-show, really cool library that you go into. More dust and, cobwebs aesthetic. And then you leave the pre-show room, and then you go into the boiler room. And that's when I think it gets the most scary, because, no one's down there. Oh, it's so scary. I really like the aesthetic that they got going on there in that boiler room. I think it's really creepy. I could see a horror movie with that as the setting. Really great room. Then you get onto the ride, and top 5 attraction, definitely. Well worth hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes. Anytime, honestly, I would ride this ride. And if you haven't rode it yet, I would wait 2 hours, 100%. And at number 3, we're going to Animal Kingdom for the second time on this list, and is my all-time favorite attraction, and I'm sure y'all know this, but it's Expedition Everest. I love walking to the mountain from Asia. You see it, and it's ginormous. It looks amazing. And then you see the village, and it's so well themed, so well detailed. You go in, and in the standby line, you go through a lot of shops and all the museums, and it's awesome. And then if you're fast pass, you just go through one little shop, and then the museum, and then you get on the ride. And then if you're a single rider, I don't think you go through a shop. Maybe you go through a little stand, because that's for the people that are already ready to go, already have their equipment. The standby line, you don't have any equipment, you gotta buy it all there, and that's kind of how it's themed, and I think that's really cool. You go in and you see all these different details from the home country that it's based in, and you go through the museum, which you can't take your eyes off of because there's so many cool details to look at. I absolutely love it. You see the tent that's mauled by the Yeti or some beast. You see, I think Yeti turd? I could be thinking of something totally different. I know there's footprints, and I'm pretty sure that there are turds in that line, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. Love everything in there, and then you get on the ride, and it's the best ride on property. Most fun roller coaster I have ever been on in my life, and I would wait 2 hours in this ride, in this line. But the only issue with this, the only downside, it could be, a little bit higher, but the bells give me a little bit of a headache if people start going crazy with it, because you can hear it a big chunk of the line, unlike Peter Pan where you only hear the bells in one room. It's also outside, so that's kind of rough if it's a really miserable day outside. But if it's not that miserable, then I would definitely wait for it. Probably 2.5 hours. Would have no issue waiting for that ride. But that's my favorite ride in the park, so yeah, it's my ride. Don't be mean to it. And then number 2, staying in Animal Kingdom, going all the way across the park, and we are going to stop at Flight of Passage in Pandora. Love seeing I remember the first time I rode it, I don't think I was on my phone once. I wasn't banging my head against the wall. I was just looking at every detail that they have there. I think the outside of the mountain is absolutely stunning. The waterfall, stunning. Love all the little details. There was one issue though. I gotta let y'all know. There was it was like supposed to be a plant, but a metal wire was exposed, and I'm like, Disney, what is this? Okay, I'm just kidding. That's not really a big deal at all. Really funny to see though, whenever you see all these amazing details and absolute perfection, and then you see a little metal wire exposed. But I'm sure that's from people playing with the plants where they're not supposed to. And then you go into the caves, and that's really well detailed as well. Well. It's incredible in there. I love seeing all the cave drawings. I love seeing up above, there's like a thing that's made from, I don't know, like some weave thing, but it's like really awesome to look at. Like, definitely look up whenever you're entering the caves. And then you pass the caves, and they've got water refill stations, which is kind of cool. And then you go and past the caves some more, and then you enter the bioluminescent forest that they have with all the black lights and all the neon. And I think it's really cool is to go in there and you see all the bright lights and stuff. It looks just like you're in the movie, like so immersive. But after that, you go into the lab. But let me not get ahead of myself. Before the lab, you see like all these plants intertwining with all the wires from the laboratory. Like the nature and the humans are like mixing, and in the movie they never really mix, but on this ride it's supposed to be like many years in the future, and they've lived in harmony for the past few years, and you can tell the nature has started to envelop the laboratory and become one. And I think that's like a really cool detail. But you go into the laboratory and you see all these different devices and stuff, talking about the Ekron, the Banshee, and you see all these things moving around, and I think it's really awesome. And then you see the Na'vi in the tube that they're in, and it is incredible. You see everyone just taking pictures all the time of it, and then the Fast Pass and the standby line meet up. And just so you know, if you're not staying on property and if you're not booking 60 days in advance, you are not getting a Fast Pass for this ride. It is very popular. You're going to wait 2 hours regardless of anything. So don't even wake up early for it, because you're going to wait 2 hours regardless. I would definitely wait 2 hours again for this attraction. It's incredible. Just ride it. Please. It'll change your life forever. All right, just kidding. All right, going to number 1 is my favorite ride at the Magic Kingdom, and it is the Haunted Mansion. This is number 1 because I'm including the outside portion, the inside portion with the stretching room, and then getting into your Doom Buggy. The outside portion is awesome. I love the new update that they had with it. I did like it before with all the wolves howling and stuff, but I think they got rid of that because I haven't heard it in a while. But you hear the oh. After the update, there's a lot more interactive sections a part of this queue. When they had just that interactive explosion in queues. It's also a classic ride. I would wait 2 hours for this ride probably. But it's never that long because it's an omni-mover and it eats a lot of capacity really quickly. All the things that you can touch, and it plays sounds, and all the coolest thing is this dude like drowned in a bathtub. It's terrible, but it's like a theme there, and he like spits out bubbles, and I think that's like really cool to me. I don't know. I just love it. I forgot what it exactly said, and then there's all these tombstones that you can read, and then you can see there's one tombstone that opens its eyes and like follows you, and then it closes them, and it just looks like stone, and then it opens them again, and then it like follows you again. I think it's really incredible of use of technology that they have in that attraction. And then you go in and you see the fireplace, and then the fading picture of the, I don't know the guy's name still, but I think it's one of the best effects in the world. And just that, yeah. And then you enter the stretching room, which is awesome. I love it. I wish people weren't like screaming all the time in it, but that's fine. That's their own journey. They can enjoy it themselves. But then you see the person hanging up in the ceiling, and then you go out of the stretching room, and then you enter this room that has obviously just been aged consistently. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you're a single rider, run to the left edge and touch the wall. And just follow that wall all the way down to where you turn. Because it's a wide space. It's a very wide space. And then they like bottleneck you down to, to where you get on the ride. So you're going to have to touch that left wall and just follow it down the whole way. Because if not, people are mean and they won't let you go. All right. Yeah. So great ride. Incredible ride. I think it was supposed to be a walkthrough at one time. It's not right now, but I like the ride anyway. I think it would be cool to walk through, but that's just me. Yep, and that is going to conclude my list. I'm going to run through them one more time. Honorable mention, because I have not been on it yet, is Rise of the Resistance, which is really saying something because I have not even been on it, and it's already almost cracking my top 10. Number 10 is Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom. Number 9 is Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom. Number 8 is Peter Pan's Flight. Number 7, Dumbo. Number 6, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And then at number 5, we said Midway Mania. And then at 4 was Tower of Terror. And number 3, Expedition Everest. 2, Flight of Passage. And finally, at number 1, we have The Haunted Mansion. The absolute classic. Go on it, please. All right, thank you so much for listening to me blab about these queues. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. And until next time, goodbye. Huh?